Happy Friday to you, Endeavour. We have done it at the end of another week. And here I am today on our YouTube channel with our penultimate, second to last, good word for a Friday, chapter of Zeus on the loose. And today we see Zeus getting to grips with that wooden horse. It's all going to go wrong, isn't it? Let's see. I snatched the temple off my head and stuffed it into my pocket. Then I had to stand there for ages feeling embarrassed and waiting for everyone to stop laughing. At least it gave me time to think up an excuse about Charlie feeling ill and about me taking him to the toilet, but I never got to use it because, just as everyone was quieting down, Miss Wise said, "So where have you been, Alex, and where is Charlie?" "I've just sent a message to the office saying you're not here." Troy shouted out, "Oi, miss, what's that vaulting horse doing outside the school?" Everyone stood at the window and stared. The vaulting horse was there, all right, on the pavement just outside the main gate. Oh, I groaned quietly to myself. If Charlie was in there, he was going to be in mega trouble. I put my hand up. Do you want me to go and get Mr. Cameron, miss?" I asked. Miss Wise looked at me suspiciously. "I think you've been out of my sight quite long enough, young man," she said. "I hope you and Charlie haven't got anything to do with this." I tried to look innocent. She sent one of the girls instead. Mr. Cameron, the schoolkeeper, came into the class a few minutes later to ask for some helpers to bring the horse in. "I don't think we can take children outside the school gates without permission from the parents," Miss Wise told him. "I'll come and help you get it through the gates and into the playground." She turned to the class. "I know it's been a bit strange this morning," she said, "but can I trust you all to get on with some work quietly while I go out and help Mr. Cameron?" "Yes, miss," Troy and I called out together. Miss Wise looked at us thoughtfully. "Perhaps you'd better all come out with me," she said after a moment. Out in the playground, Mr. Cameron and Miss Wise swung open the black gates. The vaulting iron horse stood innocently outside. "Best do it in bits," Mr. Cameron said. "We'll lift the top bit off first." I froze. If they did that, they were going to see Charlie. I had no idea what punishment was for sneaking out of school hidden in a piece of gym apparatus, but I am sure it would be something horrible. Already they were reaching for the handles to pull the top off the horse. I had to do something, but what? "Hang on, miss!" I yelled. Why don't you just push it?" Miss Wise rolled her eyes again. I think she was a bit fed up with me. "Because, Alex," she said, gripping the handles, "the bottom of the horse would get scratched on the tarmac." She looked at Mr. Cameron. "Ready?" she said. No, it wouldn't, miss," I said desperately. "It wouldn't get scratched. It's on a sort of trolley thing with wheels on, look." I said that last bit as loud as I could, and then I held my breath because I knew it wasn't on a trolley yet. And if Zeus could hear me or didn't take the hint, I was definitely going to get the biggest telling off ever. "Don't be ridiculous, Alex," Miss Wise said. "I really don't know what's got into you today, but if it carries on, I'm going to have a serious talk with—" "Hold on, Miss Wise," Mr. Cameron interrupted. "Take a look at this. He's right." I breathed out again. Miss Wise and Mr. Cameron scratched their heads a bit and said something like, "Where did that come from? I could have sworn it wasn't there a moment ago," and then shrugged and got behind the horse and began to push. Little wheels have appeared on the bottom. Then Helene said, "Miss Wise, what is this thing called?" "It's called a vaulting horse, Helene." Helene put her hand to her mouth and giggled. "So this is like the story you were telling us of the wooden horse being brought through the big iron gates." And then everyone laughed and started cheering and shouting, "Hooray! The Greeks had given up and gone home," and things like that. And as soon as the horse was in the playground, some of us got behind it and helped to push it, pretending we were the Trojans, which meant that as I pushed, I could press my ear against the horse and listen. Sure enough, under the noise of everyone laughing, I heard two voices. "What next?" one of them said. "Next," said the other, "we wait until they're all asleep and then we let our army in and kill them." We haven't got an army, have we?" said the first voice, which of course was Charlie's. "Good point," the second one said. "We'll have to jump out and kill them ourselves." "You're joking," Charlie said. "There's no way. Miss Wise would be furious if I killed her. And then there was a bump and my ear got mashed against the horse. Come on, Mr. Cameron said, we can't wheel it up the steps. Time to take the top off. And before I could stop them, they did. There was a moment of shocked silence, and we all stood and stared down at Charlie. Charlie stared up at us. And then, well, words fail me. He was brilliant. He jumped up and yelled, Miss Wise, it's you, oh thank goodness. He scrambled out of the horse and threw his arms around her. I thought it was that man, he gasped. I thought he was going to catch me. Before we knew it, Miss Wise was patting me on the back and saying, There, Charlie, it's all right. You're safe. And Charlie was blurting out this story about how the man in the playground had scared him so much he'd run in and hidden in the vaulting horse. Then he'd felt it being lifted onto the trolley and pushed out of the school, and he'd heard the gates clang shut, and then he'd heard a police siren, and whoever it was pushing the horse had run away. Just for a moment, I couldn't believe it. Charlie isn't exactly the world's quickest thinker. How on earth had he managed to come up with that amazing story? And then I realised. I sneaked to look at his ear, and sure enough, there was this tiny golden beetle in there whispering to him and telling him what to say. The rest of the day was quite quiet after that. Some police officers came and asked us questions about the man who they'd seen in the playground and told us never to talk to strangers. Miss Wise said it was really nice Miss Wise was really nice to Charlie. Zeus was happy because he'd had a sort of Trojan horse and was unbearably pleased with himself having got Charlie out of trouble. And the head held an extra assembly and told us all there was obviously a gang of international gym equipment thieves working in the area, and if ever we saw anyone suspicious in the playground, we should tell Mr. Cameron. After school, I popped into the newsagents to stock up on roast beef flavoured crisps. As we were leaving, Zeus said to me, Did you know that after the War of Troy, it took Odysseus 10 years to get home again? I got home as fast as I could and checked the calendar, just in case. Now, our final chapter on Monday Endeavour is called Gift for the Gods. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you then. Bye!